Was to be the year of the Cowboys. The team is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and the Super Bowl will be played in Cowboys Stadium. But there's one thing the 68-year-old Jones hadn't imagined. His team won't be there. The snake-bit Cowboys never got in the saddle this season, and their high-flying owner tells us this may be the lowest year of his life. We followed Jones through a season from hell. Winning is a lot more fun, but losing reveals more of a man's character, especially when he's the most innovative, controversial, and bombastic owner in the NFL. How warm and sunny the future felt in August as the Cowboys walked through the last snaps of training camp. Even here in California, fans thronged the sideline to touch the Cowboys star.
Absolutely, baby. Oh, you're the man.
Jerry Jones is the only owner in the league who is also a celebrity, and he's the only owner who carries the title general manager. He picks the players, hires the coaches, runs the business. He earned 3 Super Bowl rings doing that, and preseason, he told us how he liked his chances of slipping on a 4th. What do you see out here?
One of the best teams on paper that I've been associated with in 22 years.
Good, here they come. All right, come on, man. Come on now, let's go, man. Come on. Let's go, big boy.
But as the season unfolded, no high hopes could defeat the picks.
Over the middle, intercepted.
The fumbles.
The sideline fumbles the football.
The rotten breaks.
Tony Romo's flat on his back, and he was blasted.
You had the #1 offense in the league, the #4 defense in the league. Why can't you get the ball past the pylon?
Stats are for losers. They relish in them. The stat is the score. And when you don't win that score, nothing good happens. It's a bottom line game. Have we gotten too full of ourselves? Possibly.
You were the best general manager in the league in 1992. You were the best general manager the next year. You were the best general manager 2 years after that. What happened to that guy?
He's still there. He's very much here. I think he's smarter than he was then. I know he's more experienced. That guy's getting a real going over and a real looking at during the season that we're having right now, and he should be.
George Steinbrenner was a great friend of yours.
He was. He's someone I really admired.
If you were Steinbrenner's GM, he might have fired you by now.
Of course he would have.
You think
There's
so?
no doubt in my mind that he would have.
Uh-oh, intercepted.
In October, high in his private perch in Cowboys Stadium, Jones looked like a parent watching his child dart through traffic. It isn't a game. It isn't a business. It's his life.
There's a certain edge to you up here.
What you're seeing right now is agony.
Agony that ended with Jacksonville 35, Cowboys 17. The general manager took the hit.
Jerry, are you embarrassed? Are you embarrassed, Jerry?
Yes, I'm embarrassed. Of course I am. And very sorry to our fans. I've never been more disappointed. I've never been more surprised.
You broke a sweat in there. I've never seen you sweat before.
Well, I think it's time to sweat.
In the perch post-game, he was wrung out.
I'm making a big F or a D minus. So maybe this butt kicking I'm getting will produce some B's or A's.
It's got to be somebody's fault.
Well, it's mine. It is mine. The way this thing is structured, it's mine.
Is it time to step away from being manager of the team?
Well, if it is, then it was time to step away 22 years ago because it was the very same thing, the criticism of coming in and basically being the day-to-day manager of the team.
Those memories of how it used to be make him hold on today all the more.
What I know is I've been through it before. And if I were going to be in the foxhole with somebody, I'd be in there with me.
Jones jumped in the foxhole buying the Cowboys in 1989. He had made a fortune drilling oil wells, and he spent nearly all of it, $150 million, to buy the team. But the Cowboys were in terrible shape, losing $1 million a month, and Texas was in a depression. What was it about that looked like a good business deal to you?
Well, it didn't. I think you would not be impressed with my business judgment if you saw those financial statements and if you saw the time. It was really about passion. The Cowboys were my devil, and I just couldn't resist it. I wanted to be a part of the NFL, and I wanted to be a part of the future of the Cowboys.
Were you worried you'd lose it all?
Well, I was, but more importantly, I was worried that I would be viewed as a fool, and it really motivated me. My father called me right after I had bought the team and said, son, you're a young guy. And he said, I don't care if you have to do it by mirrors, smoke screens, or baling wire. You've got to make this be a success or look like a success, or you'll never be able to do anything for the rest of your life. There's too much visibility here. I said, Dad, gee, thanks. You know how to make my day.
There wasn't enough baling wire in Texas to hold it together at the start. Firing coach Tom Landry was a fan fiasco. The first season went 1-15. You were vilified in this town from the sports pages of those days. They called you a hick, a hillbilly, a know-nothing.
It hurt to see those personal criticisms. It hurt, but it inspired me. It made me really want to show them. It made me want to have success in the face of that. Strap all that on, and that'll motivate you to win a Super Bowl in 3 years.
He won by forcing the NFL to change the way it did business. The league controlled sponsorships, but Jones sold his own. The NFL sued him, but Jones came out on top. Next, Jones led negotiations that forced TV networks to pay a lot more for the rights to games. Cash bought talent, and talent won Super Bowls in '92, '93, and '95. But in the last 15 years, there have been only 4 division championships, and fans blame Jones for chasing away strong coaches with his insistence on running the team himself.
Glad to have you all here.
We wondered what created this ego and this drive. Jones offered to show us, but it would take a trip on his $50 million cowboy ride. His Super Bowl heroes fly forever in first class, players whose paychecks broke records.
Do you ever question yourself about the size of the checks that you're writing?
Of course I do. For instance, shortly after buying the Cowboys, I wanted to sign Deion Sanders. It was so substantial relative to where we were at the time financially, $13 million bonus, that my son at 2 o'clock in the morning was so concerned about that kind of commitment, he actually pushed me up against the wall with the agent in the next room and said, Dad, think about what you're doing here.
He tried to physically stop you.
This is such a commitment. And I asked him, I said, Steve, what are you going to do? Hit me? I said, I want to do this.
45 minutes from Dallas is Little Rock, Arkansas,
So we're home.
Yes, sir.
and the remains of his father's grocery store. The family lived upstairs.
My father one time told me that that's his blood in that mortar between those bricks. He said, son, that's my blood in there.
How old were you when you lived here?
Probably 6, 7, 8. I used to stand right outside this building with a little bow tie on that my mother put on me and greet the customers that would come in the grocery store, and the ones that would tip you, I'd be sure and push their cart for them and move them around the grocery store.
His dad, Pat Jones, had show business in his blood. Selling groceries, he wore a white cowboy suit and a Stetson, and in the middle of his store, he set up the coolest entertainment technology of the day, a disc jockey broadcasting on radio. Customers loved it, and little Jerry caught on quick. Give him a show. Better yet, make it a spectacle. Today, it takes a big top and a P.T. Barnum to transform the greatest show on turf. The successor to the grocery store is the largest cathedral to entertainment in America. 3 million square feet, 111,000 fans, $1.2 billion. Jones and his wife of 47 years, Jean, saw to every detail. High Roller Suites sell for $5 million each.
It's $5 million, but the drinks are free.
A regular fan can still get a ticket for less than $30. As he's headed to his seat, he's sure to glide past millions of dollars in artwork.
Look at that.
And like his dad's grocery, in the middle of this store, once again, the coolest entertainment technology of the day.
It is astounding. I mean, it's as big as a building.
You're a good-looking man, 70 feet tall.
He's like a neighbor showing off his new flat screen, but don't try keeping up with the Joneses. His high-def TV is $40 million, and it weighs 600 tons. You guessed it. It's the biggest in the world.
It goes from the 20-yard line to the 20-yard line, and it creates a perspective from the fan standpoint that, frankly, they've never seen before. You can see their baby blue eyes when they're in that helmet on this screen.
Today is a new day!
The picture may not be pretty with a record of 4-8, but the Cowboys are still riding high. With 32 teams in the league, 1/4 of all NFL memorabilia has Cowboys written all over it. Forbes ranks the Cowboys just ahead of the Yankees as the most valuable American sports franchise, worth more than $1.6 billion. And that's why we were so surprised when Jones, sitting in his owner's suite, told us that even now, he is haunted by hard times.
About 25 years ago, I came in here at Love Field, handed a credit card to get a car, and they went down a list and cut my card in two in front of me and looked up and said, "Young man, you need to learn how to pay your bills." That's hard times in Dallas, Texas.
You were broke?
Let's say this, I hadn't paid that bill, and certainly I was operating on fumes and not a full gas tank.
You're terrified of being broke.
Yes.
You're worth $2 billion.
Yeah, but Scott, unlike a professional, there's no doctor's degree to fall back on. There's no job to fall back on. What's out there is to keep your voice from breaking, grab a briefcase, jump in a car, and go try to sell somebody. I don't want to go back that far. And so, yeah, I run scared.
A week after that interview, a beatdown in Green Bay scared him or embarrassed him into firing head coach Wade Phillips and promoting offensive coordinator Jason Garrett. Now, the Cowboys have won a few.
So, guys, let's get something going on here tonight.
There is always next season. An owner who's already won 3 Super Bowls wants only one thing, and when it's America's team, there's only one authority he can negotiate with.
I made a deal with the guy above. If he'd give me that third one, I'd never ask again. I've been trying to figure out how to make another trade.
So the guy above may be telling you a deal's a deal.
Well, as long as I know where he is, and I do, then maybe we can recraft the deal a little bit from time to time. We need another Super Bowl.